Hey guys, welcome to week 3, our second draft of our poetry collage art project. I had such a great time last week with our first blackout poem and coming up with silly sentences with all of our in-person friends. I'm so excited to see what our virtual friends came up with. This week we're going to be moving on to our second drafts. We're going to be creating another blackout poem. The reason we're going to be doing that is because our final draft is going to be a combination of a blackout poem and a collage. So we're going to go from novice or beginner, which we kind of did last week with our project. Now we're kind of approaching, and then on our final draft we are going to become experts. This week you have 6 steps. We'll be doing steps 1 and 2 together. Steps 3 through 6 can be completed independently with a little bit of help from somebody at home if needed. You'll need a pencil and an eraser. You'll need your text sheet. We'll talk about that more in a second. And you'll need coloring tools. Marker is probably the easiest, but if you don't have markers, that's okay. Use what you have available. Step 1 is to watch the directional video all the way through. You are doing that right now. This is where the video will be. So once you are done watching this video all the way through, you can check it off and move on to your learning targets. We have 2 learning targets this week. Our first one is I can build on my practice from last week by creating a new blackout poem. This time, building a sentence that makes sense from my new text page. And our second learning target is I can create images around my selected words on my new text page that matches my sentence. So last week, we kind of got familiar with what blackout poems are. So maybe your work looked kind of like this. We, in Beach Crew, I know we had a really great time coming up with some really silly sentences. So that was our first draft. This week we're moving from first drafts to second drafts, and you can see the difference. This is the same one, so this is at an earlier stage, and then this is at a more advanced stage. So we did a great job of getting familiar with blackout poems. Now we're going to work on having a sentence that makes sense and having our artwork match that sentence. So whatever we draw should go along with our poem that we create. We have a great second video right here about creating blackout poetry. I think this teacher does a fabulous job of explaining and showing, so I wanted to add this to our slideshow. I think it's a little bit easier to follow than our video from last week. I also have the directions written out right here. I've included her written out lesson steps right here. Apologies. So really quickly, before we get started, before you watch this video, which is your next step in creating your blackout poem, number 2, she suggests that you get a page from an old book or a magazine or a newspaper. I have attached to this assignment, let's go back, another page of text, and it's different from last week's. I found a couple of articles and I copied from each of those articles to use some different, maybe more exciting words. If you want to use the pre-prepared text, you absolutely can. If you would like to do it exactly like she's recommending with a newspaper, an old book, a magazine, you can do that, but make sure you ask a grown-up which book or newspaper, etc. it is okay for you to do your second draft on. I don't want friends to rip pages out of books that are new or without permission, so please make sure that you are being mindful of that. Watch the video all the way through once so that you know what to do, and then you can start it over and work along with it, pausing as needed. I've also included some high quality examples of blackout poems. So there are a whole bunch of really high quality blackout poems on this page. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What do you notice about these examples? How could you get your second draft to look like this? Great noticing. So our goal, friends, this week is to get closer to these examples as we move towards our final draft, where we're going to start incorporating some collage elements. We will be doing that together on a live Zoom or in person. So we will be able to go over any questions and give feedback in real time. You'll also be getting feedback on the second draft from me this week. And let's take a look at what else we need to go over for today. Remember, when you're creating these second drafts of your blackout poem, they should show growth from last week. That doesn't mean that they need to be perfect, but it does mean that they need to be higher quality than they were from last week. So really take your time, focus on making a sentence that makes sense, not a super silly one, and try to make your image or your drawing match your poem. This is the directional video from last week if you want to rewatch it or if it works better for your brain. I've included it right here. But I really do think that the other slide that was on our previous step is really, really a much better one. All right, so your second blackout poem, a photo of it, is due on Friday by 8 p.m. It will be graded about if it's completed or not. We are not grading on high quality, although we should be striving towards that. I want you guys to just do the best you can, and we'll get started on our final draft. Like I said, we'll do that together. If you finish your blackout poem early and you'd like some extra artwork to do this week, we have our Take a Poet to School #2. This week we have Miss Emily Dickinson. Those cutouts have also been attached to the assignment, so you can always color her in, cut her out, and turn her into a puppet, just like we did with Dr. Maya Angelou last week. We have another optional art piece in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. We have a portrait lesson right here. Drawing a portrait is always great practice because we have to focus on drawing people accurately and without stick figures, and this is another great rigorous assignment that will help us reach our goal of drawing people accurately. We have a drawing guide right here. We have a completed example right here. We have a video right here. This video does go fast, so I would suggest, very similarly to our blackout poem video, that we watch the whole thing all the way through once and then get started, pausing as we go when we actually do our work a second time. I've also included 1, 2, 3, 4 photos as an example, or I'm sorry, as a visual reference guide, so that you can look at what Dr. Martin Luther King actually looked like. I happen to really love this photo right here. And let's see what else we have to do this week. Nothing. That's it, friends. So if you did all of those things, then you are all set for this week. If you have any questions, please reach out. We do not have school on Monday, so I will not be available to answer questions on Monday, but I will be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All right, if you completed your second blackout poem and turned it in on Google Classroom, then you are all done for this week. There will be more information on how we're going to approach our final draft coming soon. I look forward to seeing your growth from your first draft to your second draft, and I'll talk to you next time, guys. See you later.